It's gonna be a good day. Hello, St. Rose. Thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of St. Rose Rocks, music for the Golden Knights by the Golden Knights. And don't we got a special Golden Knight for you guys. We have alum, guitarist, and composer Nick Pappalardo with us today. Nick, how you doing, man?
How's it going? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I remember from the very beginning, you sent so much support and love to the show. And I was like, dude, we got to get you on. And especially because you got some great new music out, too. So I'm glad to finally have you here.
Pleasure being here. Thank you for the compliment. Yeah, it's great. I love how everybody's got a chance to talk about their music. You kind of learn a little bit more about their personalities and their background and their time in St. Rose. So, yeah, this is a great opportunity to talk about that.
Speaking about time at St. Rose, it's been 2 years now since you graduated. And as we were talking before, you said it just kind of feels like a couple months. Tell me about that.
I feel like it was yesterday that I was taking classes, sitting in my ensemble. It's kind of crazy how time flies, though.
Amen, for sure. So, Nick, what's the first song that you're going to be showing us today?
First one is my latest single. This is You and Me. And we featured a couple artists on here. Casey Gorab, Danny Malloy, and Kevin Conacelli.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear it again, and I can't wait to talk about it afterwards. But first, for all you guys to listen to right now, this is You and Me by Nick Pappalardo.
Between us, down and about, you can feel it. Carry on the shout, flowing through the wind. I know that you'll call me again. Let's get it on. If you wanna get down tonight, let's get it on. So right, the crowds are moving to the beat, and neon rays flashing in the heat. Here I witness your display. Down and about, you can feel it. Carry on the shout, flowing through the wind. I know that you'll call me again. Let's get it on. If you wanna get down tonight, let's get it on. You and me feel so right.
first, I really want to talk about your latest single, You and Me. Fantastic song, man. So groovy, so funky, and really, really good. And it definitely deserves all the credit that it's been getting recently. Can you tell us about that song? How did that get started?
I always find when I'm writing music that there's a different process each time. I don't really try to have a set way of doing things. This is more like groove-based music. I was listening to a lot of jazz and a lot of funk as well. So I started initially with a drum groove that I programmed on my music software, Pro Tools. I had this riff just looping in my head. And the thing is, it's like, this has happened, a couple times with some other tunes, but it just loops in your head. And, if you don't do anything with it, it's stuck there. So it's like, I feel like there was a certain point where it just wanted to just get out. I put it to this drum groove and I started noticing that I had a little bit of a flow, kind of catchy. I had a little bit of a catchy feel. I started adding keyboards as well. So I had the drum groove, then there was this guitar loop. Then when I added the electric keyboards, I went for a Rhodes sound, which is very reminiscent of the 70s. And it's also just being used in a lot of neo soul, funk, jazz music today. The thing was, I had this catchy loop going and I didn't have any other sections. So I sent it to my friend, Zach Capone. And he told me, he's like, a very catchy loop, but it's too repetitive. There's nothing else going on. And to make it stand out, it just seems like one ongoing piece of music. It's like you want to kind of give it a little bit of variation. So it took about a couple months for me to find other chords. I was just workshopping other chords. I actually sat down at the piano and was just trying to figure out different voicings. I came up with the verse then. So I had the chorus section, which was the loop, and then I came to the verse sections. It was kind of based off of the loop as well. They were just altered slightly. I went and I was altering some of the verse chords. I came up with a small pre-chorus section, and I believe we have the lyrics there, down and about, carry on the shout. That was a pre-chorus section, and that's going to build up to the hook again, to make it really stand out. This was over the course of 4 or 5 months now. After a while, I was getting frustrated because I was like, I still feel like it needs one more thing. You could kind of tell when you're writing a song, it's good, but it's not 100% there. There's something else that can be added. Then I ended up adding a little bridge section, which I took a bunch of loops. They're kind of like techno loops. I had them kind of several rhythms bouncing off of each other, and I changed just the bass in these loops so that way it wouldn't sound too muddy. It just kind of made it fit in the mix a little bit more. And then in the end, I was like, what would be great? I'm like, just have I'm trying to go off 70s jazz and fusion music. I'm like, it would be great to have just an electric piano solo, lines of pentatonic scales and stuff like that to really just kind of bring it home. Once when I had this idea, the trick was to getting the people to help me out and do this. I don't know about you, but when you're writing your own stuff, you want some variation. You want other minds acting on and giving you a little bit of a variation, something a little bit different, adding a little spice to your music. I was thinking about people that could play on it, that their style would complement. You want to bring in people where their energies or their styles really complement that sound. So I ended up bringing 3 other people in with me. I had a singer, Casey Goreb. I had an electric piano player and trumpet player, Danny Malloy, and he killed it with the electric piano solo. And then I had help me up on backup vocals, Kevin Conacelli. Adding those people in really gave it changed it up a lot. It gave it a new perspective for sure. When we were recording it, it was all done separately. I had the basic track tracks down, and I was just bringing in one person, working with one person at a time, and kind of just saying, hey, I like that, or no, I don't like that. Could we tweak that a little? We kind of workshopped it, and yeah, it turned out, I thought, to be a pretty good track. So
I completely agree with you. It's a fantastic track. Now, you released it back on April 17th, and that's mid-pandemic. So how much of the recording process was done during the pandemic, and what did that do to the process of recording and working together?
I ended up recording it a while back. I think I finished it back in, I want to say, late January.
Okay.
And I hung on to it for quite some time before I mastered it. I wanted to have a plan. You want to get people interested way ahead of time before you release it. I was thinking, all right, I'm like, I should give myself at least 3 months ahead of time just to figure out what I want to do with it. First of all, how I'm gonna present it to everybody, and how am I gonna like follow up with it? And it'll just buy me some time to really learn about the promotion side. I ended up doing a lot of research about promotion, so I started taking little sections of it and putting it with graphics, and I would make it into these 45, 50-second clips, and I would just post it on social media to get people like wondering, oh, like, well, what is that? And I would just take the part that like really stuck out, like the catchy part, so people would just like get that humming in their head. I thought, I'm like, okay, if it's repetition, if I keep introducing it to people and presenting it, but in a different way so it doesn't get stale, then maybe people would hang on to it a little bit more. So I started posting on Instagram, Facebook, and stuff like that. And over time, I would do it, maybe every other week, or that way it's not like super repetitive. And then as I got closer to the date, I started following up with it, like, a couple posts here and there, stories and stuff like that, sending it to people, like the download links, and that really got people's attention. Then I know Spotify is a big component of the music industry today, and as well as Bandcamp, iTunes, and whatnot. And I started thinking about, okay, so with the people that I'm connected to, that's great. They have it, if I could get as many people to share it, that would be great. But I'm also thinking, I'm like, what about the people that I'm not connected to? Because, like, you don't know everybody in the world, so you want to be able to, whatever you put out, you want to be able to connect with them as well. And I was thinking, okay, a lot of people make Spotify playlists. Now, I see a lot of people get streams like 20,000, 30,000 streams from, just submitting it to so many playlists and sharing it and getting media to write about you. I ended up submitting it to, I can't tell you how many playlists. The promotion side is so, you really need people helping you out. And I did. I asked a couple people to say, hey, if you could send out this many emails or, media kits or whatever to these playlisters, like, maybe we have a shot. And I just played it like a numbers game. Like, if you send it out to 200 playlists, you have a good shot of getting on at least, 25. That'd be great if 25 playlists have your track. It was extremely time consuming, but I think it was worth it. That's the best way to spread awareness is, number one, the platform itself. Spotify has an algorithm where, they display tracks that people are listening to. They're going to put that up first because that's what's drawing everybody to the platform. That's how they're going to make money. Same way with Instagram, same way with Facebook and all these social media platforms. There's an algorithm, so you got to understand how the platform works. I ended up then emailing some online magazines. We had some indie magazines and blogs. Just they were willing to write about it. There was like a couple magazines like Song Flag, places like that are just willing to write about it really makes a whole world of a difference, because anytime you share something online or somebody clicks on the website and they happen to glance at your cover artwork, or even if they see the Spotify link or the iTunes link, it takes one click, and if they're really liking it, then you got them pulled in, and they're going to stick with you. It was a good experience too for me, because this was like really the first time outside of St. Rose that I did like promotion stuff. I was never really used to that.
I think that's one thing that a lot of musicians don't realize that it's important. Obviously, they know promotion's important, but they just don't know how to necessarily. I feel like there's a lot of people who release stuff and it's fantastic content, but it kind of gets lost in the void somehow because they're not following up with it. And the fact that you gave it as much time as you did, that's big. I think a lot of early artists don't realize, it takes time. You need that time to build up to it, and having it to kind of linger on a little bit. It's in your pocket. It might feel like you have it forever, but it's fresh to whoever hears it afterwards. And that's a big thing to remember.
A lot of times people think, oh, it wasn't super successful because I didn't, it's not written well, or, this just didn't stick with people. It's like, no, it's probably because just social media, just the platform didn't allow your post to get through to as many people. Therefore, you're seeing the results that you're getting.
Speaking of what you just said about always learning, you're still taking lessons to this day. Out of college, you haven't given up on that learning spirit. You're taking lessons now. Can you tell us about, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Can you go into who you're working with?
During this quarantine, it allowed me to take up lessons with a guy we used to just study his music in college, Oz Noy, and he's a jazz fusion guitarist, session guitarist as well. He's played with a lot of notable musicians. He's been helping me get more into the bebop jazz language, and really just like perfect my technique and my melodic use, my chordal use as well, and improvisation as well. I'm grateful for being able to have those lessons where he can give me feedback on certain things that I'm having trouble with. And, it's interesting because when I went into the lessons, I was like, I've been studying on my own for now. It's been 2 years since I've been out of St. Rose, and I've been studying on my own. I've been trying to go through a schedule each day of like, hey, this is what I got to practice. This is what I got to focus on. And I would have like these lists, and I really thought my technique got a lot better, and same thing with my melodic ideas. And I went into there, and he told me, he's like, that's great. In order to do the jazz language and the bebop language, here's what you need. And he gave me a list of things to research. You need to learn this scale, buy this book, do this. And for this week, for homework, practice running through this in all keys. And I was sitting there, I was like, wow, I'm thinking, okay, I thought I knew like majority of what I'm going to be doing, and you find out that completely nothing. You only know a small percentage. There's always room for improving and getting better. I think mastering a craft or mastering a skill, it's going to take a lifetime to master.
So Nick, for the second song that you're going to be showing us, you're going to be kind of giving us a little blast to the past now, back to your St. Rose days. Can you tell us about what you're going to be showing us right now?
So this one's She's So Fine. This is a clip from Rose Rock 2017. It was a great experience, a whole lot of fun, and here you can see us on stage.
Awesome. So for all you guys to see, this is She's So Fine by Miss This, going back to 2017 for you guys to check out right now on St. Rose Rocks.
for Nick on the guitar.
Dude, fantastic. And it was really cool to get to see things come full circle. You started off with your newest stuff, but that's really neat that you're able to now show us something that, you know, you did during your time at St. Rose. And Miss This, at least when I was around, you guys were big. At least you felt big to me. Like I'm me, my little freshman self is like, oh my God, these guys are great. Could you tell me about Miss This back then, and is there any possibility we're going to see some Miss This in the future?
I can tell you we're all brothers, so we've been keeping in touch. I know because of the current state of the world, it's been put on hold, but you know, you never know. We kind of all started in 2016. It was towards the end of the fall semester, I believe. Jeremy Langevin, Zach Rapone, reached out to me and asked if I wanted to be in a band that covers like mainly Red Hot Chili Peppers stuff, as well as just some other funky tunes as well. I'm like, this really isn't my kind of genre. I've never really saw myself as doing that. I've always saw myself doing like lighter stuff, and I always thought Red Hot Chili Peppers, they're a little bit, at least I'm thinking about the earlier music, it was very punk meets funk, kind of edgy sound. I said, you know, might as well just, if I don't like it, you know, can move on. But I ended up showing up. They invited me to a jam session. We learned a couple tunes ahead of time. We all kind of meshed, and we were gelling together, and it felt right. So we started thinking, hey, we would love to keep doing this. And everybody asked each other, are we down to do this? And the rest was history. Everybody had like different styles. Like I came from like, I was playing like Yes and stuff like that. Jeremy, I know he was very punk oriented, and Zach Rapone, he was a little bit more indie pop, as well as he liked like some of the math rock stuff as well. When we met Cody, he was into just a whole slew of stuff. We really kind of embraced each other's styles. We didn't try and force each other to be a certain way. We just kind of let it happen. So like we were funk, but it wasn't the stuff that you see or listen to when you think of just funk. You think of James Brown, you think of Sly and the Family Stone, you think of like that kind of stuff. It didn't sound like that. It's because everybody was kind of meshing their styles together. I think our first gig was it was Arthur's Market in Schenectady, and it was just a cafe, and we did it with a couple other bands, and it was a blast. It was actually like my first time ever playing a gig. Before I've always played to myself. I've never actually played in front of people, so I was terrified to play, you know, to be in a different situation. I believe it was that spring semester we started thinking about doing a tour, and come fall semester, which was the year 2017, we planned a winter tour, and it was just a whole lot of fun. We were able to travel to different cities. We went like down to Washington, D.C. It was a really great experience because we were out on our own, and something went wrong, like we would have had to fix it. I think everybody grew a lot closer. We ended up adding Jordan Oskowski onto the board. He was a great addition because that saxophone, I mean, it was such a great complementary sound to what we were doing. And people like raved about the sax when they came to our gigs. They're like, they're like, what a great addition. And it was all crammed into like, you know, that last year and a half that I had at St. Rose. So I am grateful for all the time that we've shared together. It was truly a bonding experience, and it definitely helped me just grow up and become like a lot more independent. I mean, just being on my own. Hey, once when Zach leaves and you know, Jordan's out and Cody gets hurt, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, what do we do? Jeremy and I were kind of thinking, oh my God, is this the end? And we're like, well, we could give it a shot and see like what we could do to continue. And when we added Brendan, we picked it back up, and it was just like a seamless transition. We went from one era or one group to the next. It just reformed itself. It seemed like something entirely new, but we were still carrying the same catalog of music as well as writing new stuff. I'm glad that I was able to meet Brendan because he became a really, really good friend of mine. He's a great drummer, and I felt like we gave it a fresh new sound. It didn't sound like the stuff we were doing before, so I think it allowed us to it really shot us forward. And you know, then we ended up doing our senior projects, so that kind of like got in the way a little bit, but we carried on to it was around like March of our senior year, 2018, and you know, that was really the end. We didn't really like officially end it. We weren't like it's done. We just kind of said, okay, we're gonna take time and kind of do our own thing. So we hadn't ever ended it officially, and we're not like on bad terms with each other. We're all like really close, and we all keep in touch, which is a beautiful thing. But it was a whole lot of fun, and grateful for the experience.
Thank you so much for speaking with me today. This has been so informative. It's been so inspirational, and I feel like a lot of people can get a lot out of what you've said today. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Before we wrap up, where can people go find your music? Do you got a website? What social medias? Where should people go find you?
I do have a website, www.nickpappalardomusic.com. And then I'm also available on Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp, Google Play, Amazon, all that stuff. And if anybody's interested, I did get a couple of these in the mail. These are records from the single that I released. If anybody's into collecting vinyls or listening to music via that form, let me know. I'll send it to your address, and you know, let me know what you think.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic, man. Again, Nick, thank you so much for coming on. Greatly appreciate it, my dude.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You as well. And everybody out there, thank you again for tuning in to another episode of St. Rose Rocks. As always, I got to thank Student Development, Student Association, the college marketing team, and the college altogether. This has been an incredible process getting to work with so many musicians, and all of you supporting makes this possible. You guys are the reason why St. Rose rocks. I'm glad we got to spend some time.